Hello, and welcome to my digital bonsai tree. This is a game about this old spaceman trying to build something. And that's basically as far as it goes. If you're familiar with Factorio, I do have an AngelBob's mod suite that is rolling, and you have witnessed the ground floor of this very fresh save game. Notice, if you are familiar with Factorio, I have a bunch more things inside of my little hotbar. Some of them from AngelBob's mod, some of them quality of life. Let me go ahead and set up my spacesuit. One of the things that I have added is a ready-made robot suit. Because, you know, not having robots, that's not fun. I do not play the space game for lack of robots. It also comes with the various logistics stress. At this point in the game, they do nothing other than when you place it down, it blinks at you. So if I have anything super important that I need to put down and remember to get back up, boom, that is there. This game, like most games, start with the chopping of a tree. From this tree, I get the much needed fuel, where I can take this ore, the sapphirite, and pick it up off the ground. Even distribution and autofill is what automatically puts some of the raw wood that I chop down in order to fuel industry. From here, I'm going to auto insert that into this crusher. We're going to take sapphirite and make it less so, and thus separating out the stone chunks that come along with it. This will accumulate, and then lastly, we will put it into here, where we will bake these crushed pebbles until it becomes an iron plate. So this will cook. I need to get some materials while that is cooking. Because the early game of Factorio is kind of like an idle incremental clicker, and a lot of the game I just kind of approach that way, where as long as you have something set up, a number will go up. And how far that number goes up depends on how much infrastructure and care you build that machine with. Right now I have very little tools, so that machine is the highest quality machine that I can build with what I have right now in my pockets. Speaking of my pockets, this should not be in my pocket. I do want to keep a running tally of that. I do want to keep a running tally of that. And I want to put this guy into here. And I want to feed these guys some good raw wood. I'm going to take all of the items from this crusher, place them into here, and then I'm left with a bunch of crushed pebbles inside of my pockets. That will accumulate. Let's collect the iron plates that I have procured. Wait until I collect about 2 of them, and then we will try and solve our fuel problem in a slightly better way. You know what? Solving our fuel problem can be done slightly later and with manual clicks. What I want to do right now is just make this machine slightly faster by adding bits to it. Even without any real thought into building these machines, the impulse to make more in order to get more philosophically works out a lot more than you'd think it would. But still, we do need wood in order to make boxes. in order to make our machines work. because trapped on this desolate island, this pleasant lake, this tropical paradise, we don't have power. Oh well. Alright, I'm gonna say right now, having to tend to this machine manually in order to put some dealy boppers into one thing from another. It's getting tired. So let's make a arm that does not require me to be here. And take some fuel out of there. Unfortunately, this arm does not work for free. He requires tasty snacks for him to do his job. And once this crushed stone is done processing, once this crushed sapphirite is done processing, the crushed sapphirite that is accumulated in here will be transferred into the easy bake oven for later collection. It allows my idle incremental clicker to continue without my direct supervision as I go hunt for wood in perhaps more useful places, like the sapphirite deposit. Not sapphirite. Stereotype. This will make orange metal. But oof, it's chopping trees stuff. It seems like it's for the birds. If only I was a spaceman who had space robots. Who had friends. Good old robo buddies. Where did it go? Ah, this guy. I need that. Observe. Our friends just make the work go by so much faster without me having to manually click. All I had to do was make the decision for these trees to go away. In the vanilla game, these are a mid to late game reward, and the progressive feeling of spending the first 15-20 hours chopping your own trees and then building an assembly that will chop that tree down for you, it's a feeling that's difficult to describe as far as how cathartic it is, and it is magical. Alright, let's go ahead and take this, stuff all of these guys, that will continue running. Let's go down and grab our fuel, not from above ground, but from underground, using this coal. As we observed from the stereotype patch is that these things just kind of spit their product out into the next spot. A fun trick of these miners is that one of the things that they can accept is a fuel. So we take all of these, strip the fuel from them, but as you can see, its neighbor puts fuel right into it, creating a coal or a boros. Now, if I let this go on forever, it will grant me a maximum of 400 coal, which would be 3,200 megajoules of power. It's not a bad haul. I will probably tend it long before it reaches 400. Continue our lumberjacking. And our crafting queue is philosophically something that I like to keep busy, just doing things. So I'm gonna go ahead and we will need circuits in the future. We do not have the orange metal required to make those circuits, but eventually we will. Once we have enough of this good stuff. At the end of this queue, let's make another crusher, another 2 mining assemblies, and go out on a hunt for rocks. Because the limiting reactant to all of these is the amount of stone that I have, because these mining drills require a stone furnace. Stone furnace requires 5 stone. Stone I have received from I have constructed the stone out of these pebbles that I've been bringing around in my pocket. But I could also just take these fine rocks over here, repurpose them. They will not go away from their home. They will just find new use. They will be recycled. You can see that my iron axe is starting to get low, so I'm just going to queue up another one in case these. We have constructed a nice buffer of wooden boards. I think, let's see here, how many times did I click that button? Let's unclick that button a couple of times. There it is. Alright. Go and collect our ill-gotten gains. We'll convert this assembly here from a wood power source to a coal power source. Wood is a fine fuel, but coal is just twice as nice. Put another set of logs in there. I'm not gonna think about that one too hard. And grab all of the pebbles. Alright, mirroring our design for the iron metal, we're gonna have a construction just like this for copper. Crush that stereotype. Different crushing arms for different materials. That's why we have to set the recipe. It does not go automatically. Does not know what to burn. That's not going to last for a very long time because we need more of the good stuff. But that'll get us the first little bit. And that's all we need it for. But the first construction, simple, elegant, and to exactly one point. The limiting activity on this particular machine is that eventually the crushed stone will fill this machine up, allowing no more processing to happen. Now, the crushed stone, I believe, stacks to about 200, so we got a good amount of time, and if I were to just, like, leave the recording right here, be able to generate a decent amount of iron, comparatively. So far, we have only racked up 97, 112. That number will become tiny as our gameplay progresses. But for right now, it is substantial. It's the largest number that we've seen. Coal is now at a reasonable rate where I can fuel this entirely with that good stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and feed this one logs. Does not require that much power. Now we have copper. Prep the wooden boards beforehand, like some sort of a celebrity chef. Take that copper, string it into cables, and then put those cables onto these boards. This intermediate item allows me to make things like inserters, water pumps, and honestly not much else yet. Our next step, let's take a look. Other things that we can build is a boiler and a steam engine. Let's go ahead and get cracking onto those two as well. Get that offshore pump. I do have enough iron right now to just double up and get that proper right now. Next item is also going to require some poles and a larger amount of copper for the next item after that. But we do have to do some clearing. We will let these things percolate in their pace. So this is a nice heavy thick forest, keeping us from our true goal, which is the water, filled with fish. Delicious. Fish as a mechanic, if you are to get into a scrap and you are low in health, you just shove that fish into your mouth by clicking the button while it is in your hand, and then you're less hurt. Makes perfect sense. I see no reason to change this. For the sake of aesthetics, I'm going to go ahead and get one pipe to ground. I like to have them just slightly away from the water itself, because this is going to be hooked up down here to here. I'm going to take this boiler, now supplied with water, now supplied with wood. It is making hot water. That hot water will be stuck into the steam engine. Make some space. And the steam engine, over on the right-hand side, tells you that it outputs power. Now, our tropical paradise has electricity. And the USB cable are these power cords. Let's try and string this along outside of the forest. Just take the direct path. The direct diagonal path. And allow our friends to work. I am merely getting in the way. Can also tell our friends to handle that business on over there by putting down a faded idea of what your machine is. Nice. Let's go ahead and further optimize our first machine, build a couple of stone furnaces. Stand near the red X. The robots have themselves a little bit of a range. You can see it here in this green box. That is as far as they are willing to stray from me. Or at least to start doing their work from me. They will follow you to the ends of the earth. They're good friends. Let's go ahead and stick another guy here, stick another guy here. Grab one or more Yeah, 2 seems about right. And then fret because our electricity is a hungry beast. Let's go ahead and give it a proper meal of wood. We have that in abundance. And start working on our next construction. Let's see here. Gonna go ahead and double up on that one. I'm going to need 2 miners. Well, actually, I do not need burner miners anymore. What I need is this guy. Take this power and use it responsibly. Can take these 2 burner drills and just extend our coal Ouroboros. Yep, working as intended. Grab the copper plates up out of here. And work on our next task. Projecting this out to the slight future. I just need to find it. Ah. Science. I did not build any boxes. Shoot. Alright, gonna pre-build a lot of boxes there. That's not gonna do its thing. Gonna grab a guy from there. Wait for this box to build. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, the crafting cube. And fill this sucker up with wood. This supply will not be utilized, but I also don't want it rolling around in my pockets. It'll be fine there. Our friends have fallen out of use. That'll supply them for a good long time. Actually, right now, as things stand, the living reactant would end up being this arm right here. Gave it 20 in the time that we have been away, and last looked at it, since its operation has consumed 6. It's alright. Grab some more of this. Slam some orders down onto the crafting cube. We'll always need more circuits. That's what we build these boards for. While we construct. Alright, so one of the things I do want to do is I want to take this copper all the way on up here. So this is kind of sort of where I want to bring it on up. So slightly to this area would be fine. From there, we have science packs put into the science machine. All we need to do now is to decide which science to work on. And then our machine glows with science. Alright, let's see here. Yeah. Every now and again, these things run out of fuel. Let's start filling this with the standard oil. Same with here. Yeah. The machine has been stopped up because we did not tend to it. take these two guys out. No longer need that to be a thing. We can see that 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Every about 2 seconds it just shoves some ore into this machine, and this machine is burning through that ore faster than it can generate. See that in this number going down. So let's go ahead and empty out this machine and rebuild it someplace slightly more there. While we're at it, let's go ahead and double this up. Let's go ahead and build a whole bunch of those. And with this new building that I want to construct, let's try and get it so that the periphery is around here. Where did my crusher go? There it is. From here, blop, blop. And then tell this machine what thing it is crushing. It's crushing it. Okay, with 2 miners, it only suffers a minimum amount of lag time. I find that just acceptable. Let's do the same for a second construction. And in fact, I find reason to use electric arms. Queue up some more of these, head on down to get more copper. I have not made nearly enough Kool-Aid. Shoot. Oh well. Slap these down. Replace these burner arms with USB arms. And tell this to crush some iron stuffs. I'll head on back up there by the time I come on down there. Because there are still things that need to be fueled. The miners no longer need to be fueled, but the burner crushers and the burner ovens, they only have the initial amount that gets shoved on in with autofill. So we're just going to fill up these boys pretty well. Pushing these last bits of Kool-Aid. Take a look. There's still a whole boatload that has not even been touched. Good. Go ahead and do a similar construction, just a little bit down on the way. And automation has been done. The crafting queue that is on the lower left hand side of the screen can now be handled by something else, specifically this building. This building has a lot more limitations than my own 2 hands, but, well, what are you gonna do? You'll be fine. We'll just make more. Let's go ahead and go into basic logistics where I can make items that convey. Throughout this playthrough, there's going to be a lot of things that I research far in advance, and I will probably not comment on each one, but it is important that the research happens. Yes, it is important that the research happens, and I'll go no further than that. How's my coal Ouroboros doing? Good. Grab myself a bunch more power poles. Grab myself the latest pickings of iron. As you can see, the accumulation of materials is quickening at a breakneck pace. So I don't want to spend my crafting queue building science packs. So I will queue up a guy to do it for me, along with a couple of arms. Already have the light poles, already have the boxes. At the end of that queue, let's go ahead and make some more circuit boards. Do I have the materials for a burner drill? No. Alright, that has enough, that has enough. Those are sufficient. We'll probably tear this down before it runs out of fuel. And these are, yeah, that's full up, not quite full up. I don't want to spend any more time thinking about these, so I'm just gonna top up. I still have some left over. Good. From here, put that down over into my hotbar. I no longer need to keep an eye on my iron count. Alright, from here, we can take science packs and build them. They require a tribute of copper and iron gear wheels. So I'm going to build this guy here with an arm from here, and this guy will generate the iron gear wheels. This is where I will place the raw materials. So he takes iron from there, he takes copper from there, and he continues along his merry way. I do want this to be slightly bigger, so we're gonna also do sans the iron, a little arm and box configuration here. Copy paste. Have this arm go on into that section, and as a proof of concept, let's go ahead and stick this in there, stick that in there. So we see the iron going into this machine, becoming gear shaped, going into this machine, becoming a delicious Kool-Aid, and then being swapped into that machine, which is now glowing with knowledge. We can go ahead and make this process slightly more complicated by adding more bits to it. And that is going to be here. Oop, tree is in the way. Boom. This requires some copper, and as you can see now, the amount of copper I have is far insufficient. This one is crafting. Yep, both of them are working, and now I have double the science. A full 2 times production. And that will run for about 1.5 more minutes. Need to go refuel it. Alright, take this, put half in there, half in there. Put half in there, half in there. Enough iron, enough copper for me to fool myself into thinking is enough. And then we continue along the tree. What if I could get a burner crusher, but power it with juice? Let's go ahead and make a big old stock of these burner ore crushers because they are going to be used in the construction of the better form of itself. And while we are at it, let's turn these pebbles into rocks without my direct intervention. Boom. Just a little place to clean out my pockets. And skip this step, which is prolonging the process. When I like to handcraft things, I like to have the intermediate products already in hand. Significantly decreases the time taken. Not always available, but generally is. Anyway, so this no longer needs to be done by burner. Let's just go ahead and make this a better thing. So we need a burner crusher down over this way. 2. Tell this to crush stereotypes. Tell this guy that he is feeding 2 friends. Bop and bop. I do not have enough miners. So, as a temporary measure, well, maybe not quite temporary, but for demonstration. Turn that on. And tell this guy to crush him some stereotype. And now our copper generation has increased the same way our iron generation has increased. Fantastic. And with mechanical refining taken care of, I believe this is a good spot to say thank you for joining me and observing me create my own digital bonsai tree. Have a good day.